This is Chuck from the Phyg Pharm in beautiful downtown Royal, Arkansas. I just wanted to take a few minutes here and go over some things on my figs that I have recently taken out of the greenhouse, and some of which I have opened up outside that were planted out in the ground out here. But I'll go over these in sequence here. I'll start off at these first ones here. These are a series of plants that I took out of my greenhouse. All of these are figs that I grew from seed. I know you're not supposed to grow them from seed because you don't know what you're going to get. Well, I knew that, and I still grew them from seed. I actually had a wonderful result of sprouting these. I actually attempted to sprout like 90 some odd plants, 90 some odd seeds, and out of that, basically 75% of them actually sprouted and grew into little fig plants. Now, I've not had any luck with any of them actually producing. That was basically almost 2 years ago now, and I haven't had any luck with any of them actually producing any figs, but we're still hopeful. Okay, these are all dwarf fig plants, Fig Nominal and Beers Black, and these 4 plants here I will plant around areas here that have background. They should only grow to like 3 to 5 feet tall. Next to these, I have some other plants that actually these died back a bit. I have several black mission figs here and the like, and those all died back, and they're trying to come back, but they're having they had some problems during the winter because of things. Now, the next plants I have, this larger one that you see that's right here, this is a Naples Dark. It was a new tree. I grew several of them. I sprouted them from air layers back last year, and they seem to be just absolutely extremely vigorous growing. So we'll see how they work out. Now I have some more. This is a mixture here of Celeste, Chicago Hardy, Olympian, all trees that I have some of out in that's planted out in the ground. These are the potted ones that I have here that I'm experimenting with. I'm trying to see how I can develop these. Some of these did very, very well in the greenhouse and are coming out just really great. Others had suffered for some dieback over the winter. These plants here, this is all a mixture of pepper plants and tomatoes. I have a few figs behind them. I have some Olympian plants, a couple of Olympians and a couple of others there. And I have these are trying to get a start up. I will trim those up and then try to transfer some of those out into my garden later. Over here, these are some that purely as an experiment, and this was mostly, these were plants that I grew from seed, and I have just trying them to see how they work out. If they produce, then that'll be great. But these were not kept in the greenhouse, and I want you to see how they are coming out. See, they have died back almost to the ground. All of them did. Look at this one here. You have little green spots on it. This is typical. Now these were just set out on the south side of a stone wall. In fact, this wall right here that you can see. Now I have, there's one Chicago Hardy. You can see the stump, and there are little green pieces coming out from it. So it froze all the way back. I did not wrap this one this year, and it froze all the way back, but it is coming back. Up above this, I have more of the plants that I grew from seed that I'm just trying to grow to see if any of them will actually produce. Like I said before, if they actually produce, then the plants that I get from them will be new plants that nobody else has. Now, they might be better or they might be poorer than the regular stuff that's really available. This wall here, I'm going to use this wall this year as a backdrop, and I'm going to put some of those dwarf plants against this, right up very close as I can get them to this wall, and then keep them trimmed back to about 3 feet during the winter, wrapping them up and using that wall to hopefully to try to keep them warm during the winter time. I have now moved out to the garden area where I have a series of plants that I have put out. This first one here, this is a Chicago Hardy. As you can tell, there's absolutely no green that you can see. If you look very, very closely at the bottom, there is a tiny, tiny little bit of green just coming out here on today, the 10th of April. So it's coming out. It's going to live, but it was killed all the way back to the ground. Over here, we have a similar. This is a yellow long neck. Once again, there is one tiny, I don't know if I can get down where you can see it, but way down at the bottom down here, there is one tiny little spot. I don't think I got it to where you could see it, but one little tiny spot of green that's showing up. Next, I have some berries. Then here is another one. It's froze all the way to the ground, just like the others. This is another Naples Dark, and if you look closely at the base, you can see a little bit of green that's coming out. It's going to recover. I didn't lose the tree, but I probably won't get anything significant off of it for the year. Here is another one. Okay, and once again, you can see just a little bit of green that's showing out right at the base. Now this tree will recover, and this is a Petite Negra. The Petite Negra is kind of unique in the fact that it's a relatively small tree. It doesn't grow to be very large, but it produces breba. Now, of course, you have to have last year's wood to get breba, so it won't have any this year, but next year I have great plans for it. Here we have a Peter's honey, and that Peter's honey is like the others. You can see right down here at the base, there's a little bit of green showing right here. April the 10th, and it's coming back. It will recover. This is a Texas fig. All of these froze right down to the ground, but they're all coming back, just a little bit at a time, slowly. This is a Violet de Bordeaux, and like the others, you can see a little bit of green right down at the very base of the tree, and it's got leaves that are coming out. It's going to recover. It's just going to take a while. Over here, this is my main Chicago Hardy. This is one that produced about 2 gallons of figs for me last year and a gallon the year before. And The year before, it produced a gallon even though it froze all the way to the ground that year. So I'm hopeful that I'll get some figs off of this even though it has frozen to the ground on me. I'm walking around to the front of the house here now. The first tree I'm going to come up to here is an Olympian. As you will notice, once again, all of these trees froze all the way to the ground. But there's a little bit of greenery showing. They are coming back. There's an Olympian. This next one is a golden rainbow. Once again, frozen to the ground, but tiny, tiny little green leaves just showing growth. The next one here is a yellow longneck, which some say is the same thing as a golden rainbow. I don't know about that, but both of them are supposed to be excellent cultivars, so I'm hoping for the best here. Next is a this is another Naples Dark, and once again we have just a tiny little bit of greenery that's showing here. See if I can get the sun on it. It's kind of hard with my shadow, but it's all coming back. I have two more here. This first one is a Chicago Hardy, and it has just a tiny little bit of greenery showing right at the base. You got to look real close to see it. Just right at the base, just a tiny little bit of greenery here. So I'm very hopeful that that's going to come back and be good. And the last one here, this is an LSU. I don't know whether it's an LSU Champagne or an LSU Purple. I got it from my niece, and it was dying at her house, so I brought it here to try to revive it. And it looks like then things haven't worked out real well with that. But I'm working on it. So I'm very hopeful that I'm going to get some good use out of these figs this year, although I had a really disappointing winter here. I do have several other trees that are a bit in the shadow, and as a result of them being in the shadow, I'm not seeing any greenery on them yet. There'll probably be some on at least some of those within the next week. I wish you well, good fig growing, and we'll see you next time.